start off with some alligator hunt. But when listening to the music, you have the idea that let's move into a different game, and oh man, the frames per second are really horrible in this particular game. You can just see how stuttering it is. And that is also a little bit of a bummer when you're getting a brand new product like this and it just actually runs pretty damn bad. Especially with basic games like MAME. But next up, let's take a close look at some NES and where the emulation is quite nice. I do have a feeling there's a little bit of an input delay going on there, but it's a little bit of a bummer that the volume has been set to maximum, but the audio from coming out of the speaker is completely different when it comes to, let's say, the MAME games you just played. So in my opinion, also there they did some messing up. Yeah. And aspect ratio, the same shenanigans that we talked about before. It will be implemented of every single game. So with the full screen now to set here, we don't have the full screen going on. So that's actually how it works when it comes to software. And if you've seen in a couple of my videos, there's the same kind of software that we've seen before with different X series devices. But let's move on to the Gradius Advance on the Game Boy Advance. And first of all, when I'm listening to the soundtracks, I can tell you that it does sound not bad at all. I don't hear any weird thing going on. So the overall performance seems to be working fine. You can play with the analog stick and with the D-pad if you want to. But I find always so interesting that we can actually use the right joystick for just shooting, because they mapped it to the A, B, X and Y button. So there's a different way to play. I do wonder if people actually play like this. Also here we have no problems whatsoever. No problems and also no screen tearing so far I can see. It's kind of interesting that some of the emulators are completely messed up and some have just overall great performance. Of course I wanted to play a short part of the Metal Slug games. But the emulation from the MAME is pretty damn awful, where we do have great emulation performance when it comes to Neo Geo. But let's get into some Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. Alright, the sound effect seems to be working just fine. Because this is in general problems with these cheaper emulation devices. That is something they always seem to be messing up. Next up, let's take a close look into the bonus stage. Because that's another area where it sometimes completely drops the ball. Man, I can tell you, this freaking joystick is so annoying because it has like a freaking overall input lag. Okay, so let's place our bid in the game. This is such a fun experience that you needed to bid against the other players, or the CPUs in this case. And then you can actually like get into the race. And if you're going to be first place, you're going to win all the money where you can upgrade your car. Of course, when they're going to bet, oh, this guy's betting at 1200. Okay, I am done with this. I'm not going to betting anything because I am just a cheapskate. But you can just hear where the audio also there. It goes absolutely in a very bad emulation with frames drops. But getting into the game, we do have an okay, pleasant experience. The unfortunate part is when it comes to the aspect ratio, that doesn't work with PlayStation 1. It's completely like messed up. So the next thing that we need to do first is getting the aspect ratio all the way up to the full screen. Otherwise the game is completely unplayable. Although to the point when it comes to the aspect ratio. So putting it up, at first I was quite surprised that this seems to be running just fine. And the reason I'm surprised, because the chipset they're using inside this device has a lot of problems when it comes to PlayStation 1. But getting actually into the game, there we're noticing the most big problems. Stuttering and slowdowns to the maximum level. And it's a little bit of a bummer because PlayStation 1 on this Project X is absolutely a cool addition. Yeah, nevertheless, there are a lot of different devices nowadays from Powkiddy and Anbenic that can play PlayStation 1 without any problem. Of course, for the money we're paying for in Project X from China, this is absolutely a very cheap device. And the overall performance, surprisingly, it's not better than all the other cheap ones that we have tried before. It's a bummer. They should spend more time on it to get this thing at least working properly. Oh man, it's absolutely this is just horrible. But where that really the biggest surprise of the device is actually the TV out function that works plug and play without any problem, and the signal output is very good. I have seen a lot of these cheaper devices now in the last couple of years, and most of them have an AV out, and if it was HDMI we did have some, let's say, struggles. But this thing is just plug and play without any problem. It will take a couple of seconds to boot up, but it's absolutely great. Another thing I wanted to check out is to see how does it work with the aspect ratio. Can we change it out? Will this be looking any good? So let's return to the game. But yeah, it has been adjusted on the display over here, but not on the screen itself. Now it automatically shuts down. Let's plug it in. Let's plug it louder in. Let's see. Okay, there we go. In the beginning it did show the game in the console itself, but I think it's now a very cool idea. You can just actually play the game and see it working just fine. But so far I know there's no, let's say, way to add yourself a Bluetooth controller or another way. There is an extra port left, but it's not going to be an easy plug and play solution.